So you remember a few days after the election, on November 9th to be precise, I told you I was going to give President Biden a chance, all right? Because in our Judeo-Christian tradition, as patriots of this country, and most of you are, that is our mandate. If somebody asks for a chance, whether they're a politician or any other person, and they're not a menace, I mean, they're not hurting people, you give them a chance. And that's coincides with church state for me. So my religion, Christianity, Catholicism demands you do that, demands you treat people fairly as you want to be treated. And the country, the way that it's been formed, is we're fair. Now, we don't live up to that all the time, but that's the tenet. So I did give Joe Biden a chance. And it's been 12 days since he's done it. It doesn't seem like a lot longer than that. Boy, only 12 days. So on Inauguration Day, this was the key point that the president made. Go.
Today, on this January day, my whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people, uniting our nation. And I ask every American to join me in this cause.
Okay, so we now know that was just a bunch of phony, you know what. All right, he's not interested in unity. He's not interested in bringing together everyone to work together for the benefit of the country. He's interested in imposing progressive doctrines on the country. And how do we know that? By all the executive orders that he signed, 40 of them. And then the executive actions on not equality, but equity. So in the first few days, Joe Biden defined himself very, very clearly. I am a proud member of the progressive movement. I am going to impose that philosophy on the country. And if you don't like it, too bad. I don't think anybody could argue with me that that is what has happened. So I was fair, and now I have to redefine my assessment of President Biden. And I do it this way. We are in a social civil war. Progressives, the Biden crew, versus traditionalists. That doesn't mean you're conservative. You can be a liberal traditionalist. What a traditionalist means is that you believe in the basic nobility of America and you don't believe that our whole system has to be blown up and inequality imposed to lift so-called marginalized groups. We don't do it that way. We don't lift marginalized groups by taking things away from other Americans, especially based on skin color. It's not what we do. It's not what traditionalists believe. Progressives believe that. Joe Biden believes that. So now there's a war, a social civil war. Now, there cannot be any violence in this war. I hope you understand very clearly that Donald Trump's entire legacy was blown apart by the idiots who invaded the Capitol. Everything that he accomplished, stood for, obliterated in one day. It may not be fair, but that's history. That's the way it's going down. So those people, those anarchists, insurrectionists, whatever you want to call them, obliterated every single thing that Donald Trump did in office. Because now there's not going to be a fair hearing on the president, even though he will be acquitted in a trial that begins next week, another impeachment fiasco. But that's not going to help him as far as the court of public opinion is concerned. Now let me just zero in on this Civil War thing. So with the stroke of a pen, President Biden knocks out the pipeline, the XL pipeline. Now, I'm a big fan of the pipeline. I don't like fossil fuels. I wish we all had electric cars that were affordable and we all had energy that didn't pollute the air. That's what I wish. But I also know that's not the real world as it stands now. And you don't throw 3,000 people out of work on a dream, on a wish. That's stupid. So who is suffering because of the XL pipeline? You are, I am, because gas prices are up 15% since he did that. 15 cents a gallon. 15 cents a gallon. This is overall country. Here where I live, up 40 cents a gallon in New York. 40 cents on Long Island. 15, that's across the board average. In what, a week? That's going to go to $1 a gallon more this time next year. You mark my words. And you don't think that's tax? You don't think that's a tax on you? Because you have to drive and heat your home. And you're paying more because Biden is attacking the fossil fuel industry, and the industry knows it, so they're going to gouge as much as they can to build up their cash reserves for whatever they have to do. Okay, that's absolutely happening right now before our eyes. Oh, I'm not going to raise taxes on the middle class or working class. Yeah, you just did. And you had to know it was going to happen. All right, number one. Number two, you basically have a situation now where Democrats, and this is astounding, so listen to this. There is a poll out of the Hoover Institution. The Hoover Institution is at Stanford University, south of San Francisco. The institution polled 2,000 Americans, divided them into parties, Democrats and Republicans, okay? And asked a very simple question. Is socialism better than capitalism? Ready? 51% of Democrats want socialism. 51%. More than half, obviously. Republicans, 8%. And I don't know who they could possibly be. Now, I'm not going to go over socialism. This isn't a civics class, but you need to know one essential fact about socialism. The federal government runs everything. That means personal liberties, personal possessions, earnings, everything that we do is subject of approval from Washington, D.C. Okay? That's what you need to understand. And then there are 200 tenets of that. Okay, so now you have 51% of Democrats want socialism and 8% of Republicans. How are you going to unify the country, Joe? How are you going to do that? Because you're throwing in, I'm not going to say Biden's a socialist because he isn't. He's not. But he's not going to stop that trend. He's not going to do that. All right? He's not going to stand up to the progressive wave that evaluates Americans on skin color. He's not going to stop it. So there is now this, I don't know how you would ever breach this gap. How? How? If more than half of the Democratic Party wants socialism, how do you breach that? So what has to happen is that the independents, the people not aligned, have to come over to, we don't want socialism. Because if they don't, then we will have it, some form of it. So just go to Sweden or the Netherlands or Denmark and take a look. Now, I have been to, I'm just going to tell you, I've been to Cuba, I've been to Venezuela, I've been to Vietnam, I've been to Eastern Europe when the wall came down, okay? Right after it. So I saw what communism, socialism does with my own eyes. It has never worked anywhere. You want to say Sweden and Scandinavia work? Go right ahead, okay? Sweden's got 10 million people. So yeah, the government can dictate for 10 million. 330 million? No. Okay, so that's where we are. We're not going to have unity. Joe Biden's thrown in with the progressives. I have given him a fair chance. He has revealed himself very, very quickly.